Hi everybody, Richard Tromans here again, Artificial Lawyer TV. Today we're doing another product walkthrough. This time it's Midpage, and to tell us a bit about it is James. Hi James.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good, and good to be doing some more product walkthroughs, and this time of a new startup. Just tell us about yourself, and then a little bit about Midpage.
Yeah, sure. I'm a former practicing litigator. I worked at Greenberg Traurig in New York for a couple of years. And before that, I was a litigation legal assistant at Cravath for a couple of years. So I've always been interested in legal technology. I also have a background in computer science, and sort of this was always my main hope to get into legal tech, and now is sort of the time. So I joined forces with Otto, and we're working on building a new legal research tool called Midpage.
Fantastic. And just before we get into the detail of a walkthrough, could you just tell us a little bit more, what kind of research are you providing?
Yeah, so we're just focused on U.S. case law. That's sort of what we want to do end to end. From you get a legal research question. We want your first place that you go to be in Midpage, so you can sort of cover a lot of ground really quickly, and then eventually sort of create work product in Midpage too, and sort of make that a more efficient process.
Cool. Exciting. Right, I'm going to disappear and I shall let you take it away.
Cool. Okay, so I'm in this research session here. I have a bunch of research sessions. This one is about a non-compete issue that I'm looking into. And so I've given this session a title, and I've just entered in some facts. Shorthand is fine, bullet points are good. In this particular example, I'm sort of working on a preliminary injunction motion, which I've entered in here, and I want that to be granted. And I've just kind of described some of the key terms that are, going to be material in my dispute. And so that's saved down to this session. And now I just do research with keywords or Booleans, just like I would sort of on any research platform. So let's just type in search here. And so this should look somewhat familiar if you've done research before. We just get a bunch of results. We have the first 10, I think, here goes down to 20 pages. Um, and the whole idea with Midpage is really to get all of the answers to all of the different questions you have whenever you skim through a case on the surface level. So, I've typed in my search terms here and I see the relevant excerpts, but I also want to know other things. For example, I want to know the outcome of every single case. And I want to know that before I even spend time, because maybe it's a case that's not about a preliminary injunction, and this one is, but this one is not. So maybe I just want to hide a couple of these. Um, and so I can do things like I can go many layers deeper. So I can compare my own facts. So again, these are the facts that I've entered in here. I can run a prompt that will give me a list of similarities and distinctions between my case, these facts up here, and whatever case is in this row here. And every time we give an answer that's generated by AI, we always have these source links, which when clicked will sort of open the case. You'll see the actual source text that supports whatever the AI's answer was right here. And you'll also always be met with this welcome message, is kind of how we refer to it. So it says, just a quick overview of the case, and it knows and learns with you as you learn. So Midpage is aware of the search terms that I entered, for example. It's aware that I have asked it to do a fact comparison. And that will sort of appear in this chat. And I can always, ask more questions. Let's see. did the non-compete say about the geographic coverage? And it will generate an answer again, and it will have these source links that are hyperlinked, and I can scroll around that way. So let's just go and build out what we call the grid. I'll just add some more columns. I want to know what was the duration of the non-compete. And maybe I also want to know what was the geographic scope of the non-compete for all of these cases. And so let's just say this case sounds super interesting to me. I'm going to bookmark it. Same with this one and this one. And now I have what we call the notebook, which is just my running list of cases that are the cases that I need to take a closer look at. So I can always go back in and build another grid here, and this I can actually turn into work product. Let's just add in, maybe I just want to know the duration again. And what's great is I can actually edit these cells. So it makes turning this into something that I can share with a colleague really nice. So, I've opened the cases up. I've verified that these answers are correct, but I want it to look better because I want the work product to be like really clean. So I can just edit this and just say 2 years. And we'll do the same here. Oops. Years. And this last one, 5 years. And yeah, as I'm researching, I know that I care about the duration, but I probably care about a bunch of other sub issues. And these comments are going to be generated on the fly by Midpage that will sort of, again, Midpage is aware of what issue you're looking at. So it can leave these comments that are sort of really concise notes that should sound like something you would actually write yourself. So it's just like bullet points, really concise. I like to think of this as just like a really helpful way to skim through a case. So it's just like, here's the key standard for granting your motion. And immediately I just have them listed here, and I can click keep, and it will sort of save down, and then Midpage will know, okay, this is something that they care about. And let's say as I'm researching, I hover on a citation, and normally what I would do is I'd right click on this citation, open it up in a new tab, and then do that for 20 citations in here and work my way through them. And that would take a lot of time. Instead, what I can do is I can add cases to my notebook. I always get this summary here. I could do that fact comparison here. I can sort of click showcase, which will automatically scroll me to the relevant text that supports whatever the excerpt is in this opinion. But so then when I come back to my notebook, I have these cases that I just added, and now I already have those answers. So 1 year, 24 months, 2 years. And yeah, I can kind of build out a little bit more. Maybe I'm just going to export this to my partner who asked me to look into this. And I'm done with my research, and then she emails me and she's like, oh, wait, there was one other thing that you need to look at. You need to know, for each of these cases, I need to know, did the employee sign this before they started working, or was this sort of a condition of their continued employment? So normally I'd have to go back through all these cases, but again, I could just add another column. So did the employee sign and we'll just generate that column here. So yes, 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 yes. And then there's this no here. And so maybe that's one that I want to take a closer look at, flag it, and kind of repeat this process so you can sort of start with your research and just very easily build a piece of work product that's defensible and easy to understand and very clean, which is the most important thing. And then, export that, save it, send it in an email. So that's pretty much the gist of it.
Gotcha, fantastic. And just talking about the final work product. I mean, so this is going to go into some form of legal document that's going to get sent to the client. Maybe it's a litigation strategy. Maybe it's a letter to the court. Maybe it's to a counterparty. How do you integrate all of this information into this legal work product?
Mhm.
Is there a way of sort of like automatically sort of like grabbing all these stuff and just pulling it in, or do you have to kind of sift through it yourself? And
Yeah, no, great question. So when we say work product here in this grid, we're really talking about the kind of research that I would do all the time when I was a junior associate at a big firm is get an email, I have to look into something, and what I would send back is not a memo. Nobody has time for that really. And it's really what the partner wants is they just want, find me some good cases. You know, all of the subtext here, you know what makes a good case, and give me the sort of like bullet points of the key excerpts, and I'll be the judge. And so this grid is sort of what we view as like a very clean replacement that you can repurpose and keep building on. When it comes to actually drafting work products, like drafting a brief, a letter to the court, or something for the client, like a real memo, we're about to publish a Word add-in, which will essentially be able to take in all of the excerpts that I've saved, like this, for example. Here's that note that I saved earlier about the standard for preliminary injunction, and here's the quote that it's referencing. It will create this repository of all of the key excerpts, and in Word, that's a great place to use generative AI in a smart way. It's using the stuff that you hand selected. It's not generating anything from scratch or from, in a black box. And we always make sure that it's super easy to sort of validate. We don't want that to feel like make work. It should be you validate and then you just get to grab, like you said, just grab it.
gotcha. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. One question, which I guess is standard these days now, is so I guess you're using some type of RAG system. How are you validating, even if it's behind the screen? How is this validation happening?
Yeah, we're using RAG, and the validation really is every source quote is hyperlinked to underlying text. So if there is not a source quote if it's not a hyperlink, that means for some reason something's off and you have to go check it yourself. And in our view, that's perfectly fine because I know that good lawyers, you're going to read everything no matter what. And so we just make the
Hmm.
process really, really easy. Sort of point your attention at what matters.
But when it does link, it's correct.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so what kind of LLMs are you using? Are you using a sort of smorgasbord of different LLMs, or is it one that you're particularly focused on?
We're mainly using the latest GPT-4, not for every single little detail. Sometimes it's just not necessary. But yeah, we use the latest GPT-4o, and but we're agnostic. We could just swap in whatever is the current hot model.
Gotcha. And I guess last but one question is the data. People will be going, "Hey, that's pretty cool. How did you get all this case law? Where did the case law come from?"
Yeah, sure. So we have our case law libraries from the Free Law Project. I'm sure you've heard of those guys. And then we also are sort of scraping and adding in our own stuff.
Interesting, interesting. And very last question is if somebody would like to use this, I don't know if you do free trials or if people can just go straight onto a plan, how can they get hold of this?
Yeah, go to our website, midpage.ai, and there's a link, and you can sign up and use all these features. It's free right now. And we'll always have, once we do activate a paywall eventually, we'll still always have a free version where you can read legal opinions online. with some basic features. But for now, it's all free, so you can just go to our website and you'll see the big buttons.
Fantastic. Thanks, James. Really interesting. And as James mentioned, if you'd like to dig in a bit more, suggest you go to the website. But let's leave it there for now. And thank you very much. Thanks, James.
Thanks.